Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Victory Tuesday. It's a Victory Tuesday, not in the sense of wins and losses, but in a sense of progress. That is right. We got lots to discuss today. The NFL doesn't care about your plans, nor do they care about the kickoff. We will get to that. We are going to talk the NBA. LeBron going to retire? I don't know. The Nuggets advancing. The Royals, they might lose 5 in a row tonight, but it is a positive step in the direction of the future for the Kansas City Royals. So we got so much to get to today. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. As always, let us know your thoughts on our text line and our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Go to Sports on 580. Check us out on our website, 580www.com. So many ways to interact with us. We would love to know how you're feeling right now. The Royals have lost 4 in a row. They stink, but they're at least moving forward with a couple decisions that they had yesterday. One, moving Bobby Witt down in the lineup to maybe boost his confidence a little bit. And number 2, they have decided to move on from Hunter Dozier. And the Royals are going to eat about $14 million. Hunter Dozier will get paid $14 million. Basically, Hunter Dozier is in the same, boat as, the fired football coaches who didn't get the job done. And so they got paid to go away.
Yeah, the only way the Royals will not be on the hook for the remaining money on Hunter Dozier's contract is if he is claimed on waivers in the next 7 days. And spoiler alert, there is not a single other member of the MLB teams in existence that will look at that contract and that production and go, yeah, we're going to bail you out. Because once he clears waivers, they can then grab him, but they can sign him at league minimum.
Okay. Now, we have had this discussion a lot on why not cut him before the season started. We've talked about this a lot. Now, the Royals did this, one, because they owed him a boatload of money, but they thought, they went full Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance he could maybe have a good stretch? And they did that a couple years ago with Carlos Santana, right? They thought, okay, he wasn't great. He started off bad. Then he got on an absolute heater, and you're able to flip him for literally anything. And they did. And that worked out, okay? That worked. It was the correct thought process. And there's 2 ways to go about it. Do you go about the process, or you just straight up go with the end result? Well, the process is understandable, and they try to do that again with Hunter Dozier. There really was no reason for Hunter Dozier to be on this ball club this year outside of the fact that he was owed $14 million. You don't have a guy who can't hit really well and can't field really well on your team when you are trying to rebuild, especially when you've got guys who can be in that spot. But because they owed him $14 million, they said, we're going to give him a chance. And they gave him a chance. They gave him 91 at-bats, and in those 91 at-bats, he was awful. And he couldn't field. Now, to me, they got it wrong because he didn't get you anything. And I kind of liken it to blackjack, okay? Here's to me the situation for what they did with Carlos Santana and what they did with Hunter Dozier. So Carlos Santana, they had 16, let's say. You got 16, and you're like, do I stay? Do I hit? What do you do? All right? And in this situation, the Royals were like, we're going to hit it. And you got a 4. And you got to 20, and then you said, okay, we're good. And that's when you traded, right? for this situation for the Royals, they said, oh, we got 15 with Hunter Dozier. Oh, we're going to hit. And they drew, they got a face card and they busted. Okay? It's just the way it works. It didn't work out this time. And in the end result, so now that it did not work, right? The end result was it did not work. And did you waste 91 at-bats for somebody else? And I can come up with an answer of yes, only if the Royals had an internal discussion on whether or not they should have brought up Michael Garcia to start the year. Mm-hmm. And if they did have that discussion to say, should we have Michael Garcia up there and playing instead of Hunter Dozier? If that's the case, then you did waste 91 at-bats for Garcia. Now, is that the end-all, be-all? Probably not. This is a completely different... The Hunter Dozier situation is a lot different than, Nate Eaton being out there and struggling mightily and Jackie Bradley Jr. because that's injury-related. That's completely different than Hunter Dozier.
Those two are out there because other guys aren't healthy. Yes. Dozier was out there and existing for entirely other different reasons.
So a lot of this is just moving on, and we're going to get into this today. Everyone loves the list topic today, is the worst Royals contracts. They've got a lot of them, but we will get into that. And so this is more so, and I'm not faulting Hunter Dozier, okay? The people, Hunter Dozier is going to get paid for no matter what. So Hunter Dozier, you get your $14 million. I would rather have this situation where Major League Baseball players, it's guaranteed contracts, get the money, whereas in the NFL, they don't get the money because it's not fully guaranteed. I'd rather Hunter Dozier get the money than John Sherman. Now, the problem was that he got a 4-year, $25 million contract because he had 139 stretch of baseball.
He had one good season, to which we learned that the baseball should have, had a golf ball logo on it.
So, but the Royals have moved on from Hunter Dozier because Nicky Lopez is back, and it took him a month. As an individual who's had an appendicitis, who is also not a Major League Baseball player, I can tell you this: after 2 weeks, your stomach still hurts. Like your lower core is still in rough shape because you lose all your strength in your core. So that it took Nicky Lopez a month to come back is not a surprise. It really, really isn't. What I want to know is if Nicky Lopez didn't get an appendicitis, how long were they going to give Hunter Dozier?
I wonder that question. That to me becomes a very great question because part of the reason Dozier got DFA when Nicky came back is the Royals had a month to look at Michael Garcia, and they saw that kid can play.
He's in a bit of a struggle bus right now.
But they saw that's a Major League Baseball player. He can defend well at third base, the position we would need him to play. He can also play short. He can also play second. And he can handle the bat well. Even in his slump, it's not been Dozier levels of bat.
And the fact that he's part of the future.
Yeah, he's also incredibly young. And that's the thing. Like, it kind of was a benefit that Lopez had to have his appendix removed because it forced their hand to look at Garcia. I can't say with certainty if Nicky ever gets hurt that they make this same rationale and the same decision based on Michael at AAA. Now, I would have made that rational decision, but then again, I would have made this decision back in March, as I have said many times on this program.
I would have booted. See, I wouldn't have given Dozier 91 at-bats. Like,
neither would I.
Oh, shocker. Hunter Dozier had a 183 batting average and a 253 on base. Did I really think that he was going to be good this year?
No.
That's where they had a bad process. I get that they're trying just to get something for it, but at least Carlos Santana had like a 360 on base percentage
Yeah,
in
like
his career
Carlos
prior
Santana
to
still
it.
gave you something in the fact that you knew the walks were always going to be there, so there's a baseline of production. Dozier was different in that fact. And listen, we can all go back and forth over the process. I agree to a level the process was bad. I'm never going to blame a team trying to get something out of the investment, particularly because John Sherman's trying not to waste more of his money that he didn't even spend because Dayton Moore was the one who caused this whole thing. And so John Sherman's like, man, I didn't even make this investment, but I'm going to try to do anything. The biggest thing for me that this says, and I talked about it yesterday before the DFA even happened, was this decision in its context, to me, would tell me everything about how this organization is being run. Because the Royals had two options when Nicky Lopez was ready to go. And I'm 1 for 3 so far on, 1 for 1 because the other two haven't made a decision yet. I'm 1 for 1 on guys that say be back with his team this week. Nicky Lopez is back. They had two options. It was either bring up Nicky and send down Mike Howell, or bring up Nicky and ship out Hunter Dozier. Those were their two options. And either decision would tell me everything I need to know about John Sherman and JJ Picollo. Because this is their call. Their call is who's getting, like, Matt Cochero can say his piece and what he wants. They make this decision, not Q. Yep. What this tells me, and more importantly, JJ Picollo speaking after the move and saying out loud, we did this with the blessing of ownership, tells me John Sherman said, and is kind of backing up the words of, he doesn't want to keep losing. It's a stretched out process to get there. But John Sherman looked at the situation and went, I would rather eat $14 million and not get any ROI on this so that we can maybe be a more competitive baseball team this year even.
Well, and to get you better at bats and for the future.
It sets you up better for everything. See, I'd rather eat $14 million than be like, no, send down the young guy. I'm squeezing every inch of juice out of this.
And that's
development. That's a positive move for the direction of this team.
And there are two types of people in this world who watch the Royals. They are the Royals fan right now who doesn't care. And there's pretty much, that's everybody. Okay. Because I've been out in the public. I've talked to the public when I'm out and about, especially with friends and all that kind of stuff. You know, are you watching the Royals? No, why would I watch the Royals right now? They're terrible. They don't care about this move. If they didn't make this move, the people like you,
I'd riot.
The people like me, the die-hard Royals fans who actually know what's going on in the background, because not everybody's got time to know this. You know, that's why you listen to us, so we can give you the information. Mm-hmm. But like a friend of mine, you know, I said, you know, hey, yeah, they DFA'd Hunter Dozier, and they're like, yeah, who cares? See, like the generic fan does not give a you-know-what about this move. But the people who care about this team on a much deeper level and are more baseball people, they do care. Because if you lose them, or if they're just now fed up with it, that's a problem. Yeah. So and I like the move to move Bobby Witt down in the lineup just to shake things up a little bit.
Clears that space.
He's still going to be up there. They're still going to play him 6 out of every 7 days, which is smart. That I have no problem with that. Prado leading off, hey, that's something that's unique.
Prado leading off led the Royals to taking a 3-0 deficit to being a 3-3 game and 3 batters.
Yes.
That was fun.
So this is a big decision for the Royals, and people don't realize this when it comes to Hunter Dozier, is he was one of the worst players in Royals history.
Oh yeah.
When and there are, you know, at bats and thresholds and everything. But if you go with someone who can qualify, someone who has played for the Royals, not just for like a September call up, you know, Hunter Dozier played for this team in his career. He's had over 2,000 at bats. Okay. He was worse than a replacement level player. Okay.
Yeah.
So the when he played, he was worse than if you just brought up a random dude from AAA. And he's one of the top, I think it's top 6 worst players in Royals history.
That tracks. More importantly,
that title goes to Unieski Betancourt, if you were wondering.
Oh, man, the legend Unieski Betancourt.
He got brought back 2 different times.
Yeah,
by
he
Dayton
did.
Moore.
Yeah,
anyway,
he did.
Anyway,
no, all you need about Hunter Dozier is that since 2021, he has been the worst everyday player in all of Major League Baseball.
There you go. There you go.
Worst.
Pretty simple.
No one else worse than him. And like I said, the big thing about this is it's less about the short term with this move. The nice part is, Michael Garcia gets to stay up and keep getting at bats. That's the positive in the short term. The long term is truly, this to me signals this organization is truly going to try and do things a little bit differently. Does that mean they're going to spend a lot more money in the free agency or do other things that you would like them to do? No. But it tells me that they are not going. I now believe a little bit stronger that simply being paid a lot of money to play bad is not something Sherman's going to tolerate for a long period.
Yeah. So the next couple of moves that I'm hoping they make, it all depends upon this question. Do you want Nate Eaton to be up here with the big club? Yes or no?
Right now, no.
Okay, so you answered that question for me.
Yep.
So therefore, Drew Waters should be playing for the Royals tomorrow night. Drew Waters just hit another double today.
I was going to say, he's 3 for 3 right now.
Oh, today already?
Yep, he is 3 for 3
I know,
today
I know
already.
he had a lead off, not a lead off double.
Yeah,
but
Drew Waters is 3 for 3 again. I said this yesterday. I thought he was going to be up yesterday. I really am surprised. At this point, I think it's Friday. I think they're
off day Thursday.
Off day Thursday.
Go on the road Friday. Gotcha.
Well, no, you have Washington coming to Kansas City on Friday.
Oh yeah.
So it's still in Kansas City. I'm thinking now if they didn't do Monday, they're not going to do a mid-series call-up. And I know everybody's like, just get him. He had an oblique injury and he's a switch hitter. Those are tricky, really confusing things. I don't blame them for going, we are giving him all the time in the world to make sure he's good to where we can bring him back guns blazing.
Now, what I would do,
then he'll be back.
You needed to answer my question for me.
Yes.
And that was, should Nate Eaton...
No, Nate needs to go back to Omaha.
Okay, so that determines this move.
Which is where Drew gets up.
So Drew comes up, Nate Eaton goes down. If you would have said Nate Eaton can stay up here...
You should kick me out of the studio.
Well, no, if you decide that, that's fine. Then you cut Jackie Bradley Jr.
Well, yeah, then you DFA Jackie Bradley Jr.
That's the next situation. And then once Kyle Isbell gets healthy...
Then Jackie Bradley Jr., thanks for the times, buddy.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Or you say Nate Eaton is ready to come back up if he's healthier than Kyle Isbell.
Then you tell him Jackie Bradley Jr.,
yes, exactly.
Thank you for the memories. Good luck.
It's very, very simple. So that's what's happening right now for the Royals. Yesterday, they did lose. Singer was not good. It is now a flat-out concern for Brady Singer because he's only had one good start this entire year.
And that Tigers offense isn't good. And I know I'm saying that about a team that just scored 8 runs. That offense isn't good.
Well,
that's how bad Royals pitching is.
That one guy who was on a slump all of a sudden has turned into Barry Bonds. Verling or
Nate Vierling or Matt Vierling.
Whatever.
He's one of the Vierlings.
He destroyed a couple baseballs
and to me that that tells me is that the Royals pitching's that bad. Outside of the bullpen, which did its job, and listen, because I know we're about to wrap here. I get some people don't like seeing Scott Barlow out there for 36 pitches.
Yeah, that's not
what
great.
This tells me is they were trying to do a bullpen day today, and Brady screwed all of that up. And Matt Quatrero was trying the best he could to use limited arms for today. That's been all thrown to pot. So I don't know.
Who's even going to go today?
I truly don't know.
I literally
I'm out of options. Even I don't know.
25 minutes ago, and I go, who are they? I
don't know. They don't know. No, I got nothing. I do not know who goes today.
But yeah, that was a bummer. But if you do like I do, and you bet against the Royals every single game, you're gonna end up with money. Like
even though they're favorites,
you can call me a terrible fan.
Nah, buddy, the emotional hedge is always allowed.
This is an emotional hedge.
Well,
because I don't care about wins or losses.
Listen, it's always okay to profit off your team being bad. It's always okay.
Terrible. Absolutely
always
terrible.
Okay.
So we will get to some more Royals if we find out who the heck is even going to start today. Still don't even know. It's listed as to be determined when it comes to the Royals. We're going to talk about Derrick. OTA is going on right now. The Chiefs will meet with the media on Thursday. So we'll hear from Andy Reid coming up on Thursday. But we will talk with Matt Derrick. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA and the NFL. Man, they made some noise right now. The NFL is just a machine. We'll get to that coming up next. More in depth, but the big news coming out today in the NFL is that the NFL has made a rule change. If you fair catch any kickoff, you get the ball to the 25-yard line.
As long as it's behind the 25-yard line when you fair catch it.
Correct. I mean, most of the time so if you fair catch it at the 5,
ball's being put at the 25-yard line.
If you fair catch it at the 15,
ball's put at the 25-yard line.
If you fair catch it at the 1,
ball put at the 25-yard line.
What if you fair catch in the end zone?
Ball put at the 25-yard line.
There you go.
It's really, really stupid.
So, and the reason that they are doing this is player safety. Is they say
which is such a lie
that the most common play to get a concussion is a kickoff.
And they're not technically wrong on that.
I have not seen that numbers statistically. I have heard that, and everybody throws that out there. Yeah. I have not seen that in a actual numbered situation where there are X amount of kickoffs and there are X amount of concussions. There are X amount of plays on offense, X amount of concussions. I have not seen that, but that is what they are doing. Coaches and players are furious with this, but the NFL doesn't care. And they decided to do this. We'll break it down a little bit more coming up in the 2:00 hour. Coming up next, though, we'll talk Chiefs OTAs with Matt Derrick. Heading to the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line, we go to Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, how are things in Kansas City, my friend?
Not too bad. Pretty excited to be able to get out tomorrow. We're going to be out there for the organized team activities, otherwise known as OTAs. So our first real chance to be able to see the full Chiefs squad in action this week. So, I mean, how can it get any better than that?
Now, they start OTAs today, correct?
First practice was yesterday. So, they got 3 practices this week. Final one will be being tomorrow. And that's the only one that they're allowing the media in for. And we'll also be able to talk to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the other players tomorrow.
So we will hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and a couple of the players tomorrow. When it comes to this OTAs, you're not allowed yesterday or today. Is that just because the Chiefs are, they think espionage is happening all around them?
Well, it is a minimum. You have to have 1 out of every 3 of the OTA practices that are open to the media. You can have more, and some teams do have more open. The Chiefs used to be in that category where they had all 10 that were open to the media. But unfortunately, Andy Reid decided to streamline things back. So now we are down to just the 3 OTA practices that we get.
So what is the one thing that you are most interested in for the Kansas City Chiefs and OTAs?
I mean, number one's going to be just kind of, who's out there and, how active are they? This is kind of the first judge to be able to see how the veterans coming back, where they kind of are. There are some limits and rules about what you can technically report as far as, who's running with the first team and, and starters and everything like that. Although, you usually can find some ways around that to kind of get the information on the record. But yeah, to me, I mean, a big part of it is just seeing where the veterans are. I mean, getting a look at the rookies is one thing, and we've got a little bit of that from the rookie mini camp. This is the first chance to really see, hey, Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes, all the veterans who are coming back, anybody who was hurt last year, had any injuries they're coming back from, kind of seeing where they are in the process. Tershawn Wharton, one I'm really interested in too, seeing, because he seemed to be doing so well before his ACL last year. That's kind of what you're looking for, at least for me in the first practice, just to get a hands on the veterans and see where they are physically.
Alrighty, when it comes to some of the camp battles, is there a couple camp battles, OTA battles that you think could be telling on where they line up, when they line up? Because OTAs to me is interesting. And I remember they put Creed Humphrey, they mixed in Creed Humphrey as the starting center right away. So I do think there is something that is important to OTAs on where you line up and when you line up. If you're a rookie, if you're a free agent guy, I do think that does matter.
It does, because there's a couple of things, that Andy Reid and his staff really like to do with rookies. And, one is to make them earn it. And two is that he likes for them to have upward progress and not, get benched or put down. So that's what's most telling. And what's most telling about Creed Humphrey was that he was starting from day one. I mean, that told you that the Chiefs were like, okay, he's the starter, and it's going to, be something, barring a miracle, to knock him out. Usually they let veterans take that and force the rookies to kind of earn their spot. So anytime that you see a rookie in an Andy Reid OTA practice that's getting a lot of reps, or even as a, starting, that's a really good sign about what they think of that player. It's not about getting them snaps. I mean, OTAs, and there's a pecking order. I mean, in the NFL, it exists for a reason. And, there are other ways to get, younger players looks and everything. But those reps with the starters and with the first team, that's because they want those to mean something. They want that to be, the work they are doing to get ready for the season. So they're not just going to give away those snaps. They want them to be earned, and they want them to be for the starters. And, hey, if a rookie is going to get there, they do want them to earn it. But if we see any rookies, and you hear some rookies that are running with the first team already and getting the kind of looks, that's generally a really good sign. It's not a bad sign if they're running with the twos or the threes, because, like I said, I mean, Andy Reid does like to make them earn it. But you can definitely get a barometer for the rookie class about, kind of where they are, settling into the rotation right now. Doesn't mean it's not going to change, and it certainly could for a lot of these guys.
We're talking with Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow Matt on Twitter at MattDerrick. Is there a position group where you think where they line up is a little bit more important?
Yeah, I mean, there's several I think are going to be interesting. I mean, we'll obviously be looking at the tackles on the offensive line, and I'm expecting that we'll probably see Donovan Smith on the left, and we'll see. I'm having a brain cramp. Well, I see Jawan Taylor over on the right. Gosh, I'm still in off-season mode. Come on, I need these reps too, Jake. Clearly, that's what we're expecting to see. I'm really curious to see how the rotation is going to be with the wide receivers.
Yeah, that's the one. Reps. That's the one that I'm interested in.
Really interested, because I don't know who's the clear-cut number one receiver right now. I mean, is it MVS? I mean, is there somebody else you're going to be giving the reps to? Is Justin Watson going to be out there in every single rotation? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go right now, because it's a large group that I think that they need to evaluate, because you got a lot of guys who I think are good players, but haven't had a lot of snaps with this team. So you've got a lot of guys that you need to figure out what you've got, and you need to do that before training camp.
Speaking of MVS, the NFL, this was last week, they tweeted out the best play by Patrick Mahomes, like the most impressive play, like the wow play of Patrick Mahomes, every game last year, 20 plays, because they played 20 games, and went through all of them, and it was just an impressive video. And then I decided to break down who the pass or what was the play, and it surprised me. Do you know who was on the receiving end of the majority of those passes?
Who on the majority? I mean, I assume with this that you're going with MVS, but that would surprise me. But I'll go with him.
Yeah. Of the 20 plays, now they're not all, from one game. It's the best play against the Chargers, best play against the Broncos, best play against the Raiders, best play against, the Bills, the Bengals, all that kind of stuff. So it's one play. But there are 5 plays that the NFL, whoever's running the social media team, thought that a scramble by Mahomes was his best play. And that's understandable. The one against the Bengals where he jumps up, puts the ball, crosses the end line or the goal line. Then you got the run in the Super Bowl. Like, I get it. There's some scramble plays where you go, man, that was so big at that moment in time. But there were 5 plays that he found MVS that they considered the best play that Mahomes had. That was the most. Like, I almost wonder, are we underrating MVS to his importance? Obviously Travis Kelce's great. By the way, Travis Kelce, not a single, he wasn't in there. They didn't, not one single play was Travis Kelce, which is mind-boggling. But, when you think of Travis Kelce, like the play that I think of was the one, where he runs the crossing route against the Chargers, Mahomes hits him and he runs it in. That, that was just a simple, crossing route that Mahomes hit. It's not impressive that Mahomes hit Kelce there. That was more impressive about Kelce catching it and getting in the end zone. But not a single one of them was Travis Kelce. He's obviously the focal point, but I think having MVS there that many times, 20%, 5 of the 20 games, he was responsible for a big-time play.
Yeah, and, hey, you look at the volume. He had 42 catches, 687 yards. That's nothing to sneeze at. So solid numbers. But, outside of Justin Watson, who didn't have the biggest of numbers. He only had 15 catches in the regular season last year.
He had 3 of those, by the way. 3 of those catches were of the plays, the big plays.
And he averaged 21 yards a catch. So, I would expect Watson and MVS to have the biggest, plays because MVS averaged, 16.4 yards? Looking at it right here. Those were your big play receivers. And, yeah, it's easy to kind of look back and remember, okay, there's more than a few times that Mahomes did his little Mahomes magic, and those were the guys that he was generally finding a lot. There's probably a few more that I could say, hey, but Derrick McKinnon may have had maybe the Mahomes play. But are those the flashiest? Like you said about, Kelce, probably a couple of his throws to Kelce were probably equally impressive, but they're more impressive maybe about what Kelce did after the catch. When you're just talking about when plays break down, that kind of, to me is, the NFL's bread and butter. That's what they love with Mahomes is when plays break down. And where does he go to? And MVS helped himself. That is a guy who definitely gets it, playing with Aaron Rodgers, doesn't give up on play. And, and there's more than a couple of receivers in the NFL. There's been some with the Chiefs that I think you could say, hey, every once in a while, when a play goes haywire, they're not always have their head on a swivel. And I will say that's one of, I think, MVS's best traits is that, he always makes himself available. He's had some struggles with drops, and there's some deficiencies in his game that you can criticize him for. But one I don't think you can is that when plays break down, that's when he goes to work, and that's an important skill to have when Mahomes is your quarterback.
All righty, let's get to some news when it comes to the NFL. Thursday night games can be flexed. Now, there's not a ton of those games. It's just weeks 13 through 17 on Thursday night. The Chiefs could be a team that gets flexed because they could be playing on Sunday and then they get moved to the Thursday night. So there are 8 teams who voted no to flexing Thursday night. The Giants, the Jets, the Packers, the Bears, the Lions, the Raiders, the Bengals, and the Steelers. The Chiefs are not one of them, even though Patrick Mahomes voiced his displeasure very evidently on social media. Are you surprised that the Chiefs voted yes to flexing Thursday night games?
A little surprised, but when you see the scope of the flexing this year, I kind of get why Chiefs and Clark and I decided to go ahead and support the commissioner on this and to go ahead and do it because, one, Chiefs are not getting flexed. Like you said, it's only between weeks 13 and 17.
Well, they could be flexed and they could go from Sunday to Thursday.
But for the Chiefs' bright side, there's only 2 games that they have that are eligible to be flexed because they are on Sunday afternoon. Because they play the Packers on a Sunday night, which can't be flexed to a Thursday. They play the Patriots on a Monday night, can't be flexed, and they play the Raiders on Monday, Christmas Day, that can't be flexed.
That's true. Okay.
So the only 2 games that they have that can be flexed are Buffalo and Cincinnati in weeks 14 and 17. And both of those are 325 CBS protected games. So those aren't getting flexed either. No, I kind of get it. I mean, I think long term the Chiefs. I don't think this is a great rule for the Chiefs. I think there's just too much of a risk of them having a Sunday game flex to a Thursday late in the season. And you're good. I mean, I don't think you want that. But two, I think the Chiefs are affected a lot more than some other teams. I mean, I hear all the time from fans, that how tough the flex games are, even when it's like going from a Sunday afternoon to a Sunday night. Chiefs draw their fans from a larger, geographical base than almost any other NFL team. I mean, maybe the Packers and the Broncos you could put in there. But otherwise, I mean, their fans are spread out. I think it's unfair. So, but like I said, this is a limited scope. If there's not any games flex this year, they have the chance to test that again next year. So, I mean, it's very limited. And like I said, I mean, it's not going to affect the Chiefs this year. So maybe that was one reason why, the Chiefs decided to go ahead and support this for now. We'll see how it works out. I mean, I get the fact that they made it the 28-day window that gives you at least a month to prepare for it was what apparently kind of pushes it over the edge. I still think it's going to be tough to make it work. We'll see if one of these games gets flexed this year, as even like on a test basis. I think they probably want to try to flex the games if they can. I don't expect it's going to be popular though, and if anybody gets hurt in one of these Thursday night flex games, it's immediately going to throw off some red flags.
Alrighty, let's go to the news today. The NFL is going to change the kickoff rule where if you fair catch the kickoff somewhere inside the 25-yard line, you get it at the 25. According to reports, all the coaches hate this and all the players hate this, yet they went with it. It's in the name of safety. Are you hearing anything when it comes to this from at least the Chiefs' perspective?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I've been able to find that likes this is apparently Roger Goodell. I mean, he apparently the driver behind this. The reports were yesterday that they didn't have the votes for it, and that it was Goodell who was actually wrangling the votes, trying and get the team, get the owners to support him on this. I mean, they are trying, and this is. We're not talking necessarily about injuries that affect, the big time stars. I mean, Patrick Mahomes isn't on kickoff plays, isn't on punt plays, but they've looked at it. I mean, they know the numbers. They know that most injuries, most penalties occur on kickoff returns and punt returns, and they want to reduce both those. They want to get fewer penalties that slow down the game. They want to get fewer injuries that not only, they feel like are obviously bad for the players, but bad for the teams, because then they got to pay money to rehab these guys. I mean, it's not like there's not money involved in this too. Really, one of the reasons why I think a lot of the coaches obviously are against it is that it takes a huge amount of strategy out of the game for players by just that kickoff rule alone. I mean, you're eliminating easily 25% of special teams jobs. I mean, you're going to have players who are still in the league for special teams, but now 25% of their snaps are almost going away. So, that's a big reason why a lot of the players are going to be against it. It's going to cost them jobs, I think, in the long term. We'll see. I mean, college has done it, not been that big of a deal, and clearly the league wants to. They want to get rid of punt returns too. I mean, and that's the next thing. I don't know why, if this is the rule, I don't know why you just don't go ahead and just give teams the ball to 25 and just get rid of the kickoff, because now, I mean, there's just almost no reason not to make a fair catch on every single kick.
Do you think rosters will be constructed differently this year? Like, instead of, a special teams guy as a safety, they'll go with an extra D lineman.
I think it could. I mean, especially it might affect a couple of the positions, because, like I said, I mean, now you're taking a part of the game out where you need guys who are speedy. You're talking about your bigger receivers, bigger safeties, bigger corners. Faster linebackers are usually on your kick cover teams. You start getting those positions out, and yeah, I mean, I think it could end up meaning a position here or there on a roster that could go a different direction. We'll see. I mean, it might take some teams a little bit of time to adjust to it, and they definitely, if it's a 1-year test, they don't want to, go full bore. But I mean, it's definitely going to change the approach, and it's definitely going to change special teams. And I mean, I expect that once they go this direction, they're not going to go back. They're only going to keep going further with it.
Alrighty, my 2 questions, 2 for the road. You can be as descriptive as you want to be, but I do have to ask this. Where would you want the Royals stadium, since you are there in Kansas City? Here in Topeka, don't care. Is it downtown Kansas City or north downtown? We don't care. Honestly, I prefer it at the Legends, Matt, because it would be closer. So, you as a Kansas Cityan, what is kind of the vibe there when it comes to the Royals and the tax dollars and now North Kansas City getting involved?
Yeah, it is a fascinating question. And I'll be honest, I am all for North Kansas City getting the Royals and putting the stadium there for a lot of reasons. I mean, I'm a Clay County resident, so that would be in my county. And I've thought that, Clay County should be making a bid for this for a long time. I mean, I've been telling my friends about my idea for a Kansas City ballpark district. It's not where that is, and I could give you a whole pitch about where I would put it, but where I would put it also probably isn't feasible, and it would also involve like building a pedestrian bridge over the river that I think would be really cool. But that's a different subject.
Why don't they do that though? Why don't they build a damn bridge then?
See, that's the amazing thing is that there's a lot of old industrial land. It's just on the north side of the river, north of downtown, that if you put it, you cleaned it up and you put a ballpark there, you could put a pedestrian bridge connecting the city market to North Kansas City. I think it would be spectacular. I mean, they're wanting to put this a little bit further north, and it's a great site. I mean, it actually makes a lot of sense if they would have to get, I think, the streetcar and all that going. But it's a good place. And honestly, it does make sense from another standpoint, which is that I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for Kansas City, Missouri and Jackson County to keep both the Chiefs and the Royals. And I mean, if the Royals stay in Kansas City, Missouri and Jackson County, I think it makes it more likely that the Chiefs end up somewhere else in the metro. But I also know that Clark Hunt, I think, really wants to stay at Arrowhead. So maybe that will affect things a little bit. But I think it makes it a lot easier for the Chiefs to stay at Arrowhead if the Royals go north of the river.
All righty. Matt Derrick, congratulations. I just gave you $10 billion. How cool is that? You're welcome.
Woohoo!
Are you bringing in an NBA franchise or an NHL franchise to Kansas City?
Well, if I've got $10 billion, I got to go with the better investment. And I think that would be NBA. I mean, I think
forget about the business side of things then. Okay. All right. I'm moving the goalpost. Fulton is laughing at me right now. What would you rather have? Like, would you rather have NBA or NHL?
Ooh, that's a tougher question because I actually like the NHL, especially the playoffs. I mean, there's just nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs. And overtime playoff hockey might be the best sporting event that there is in the world.
Yeah, facts.
So I just don't know if Kansas City fans would get behind it. I mean, I think they would support a basketball team. I mean, for me personally, I think hockey would be a lot of fun. And I think it's a growing game. I mean, I think there's some potential there. And frankly, anything that Mahomes puts his name to. I mean, if you made Patrick Mahomes a minority owner in an NHL team, they would sell tickets in Kansas City. So no worries there whatsoever.
Matt, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you next week.
Always a blast. Take care, everybody.
Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com on our Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. Coming up, everyone loves the list. Worst contracts in Royals history. Fulton coming to you on a Tuesday. We do have Royals baseball tonight. 6 o'clock pregame coverage. 6:40 first pitch. Speaking of that, I don't think anybody would hate if they just kept it 6:40 first pitch year round.
No, it is the perfect first pitch.
Like, for real.
I think I've watched a lot of baseball in my life, so I have a lot of opinions on first pitch times. 6:10 and 6:40 are maybe the two best. Like, just period. It's not encroaching too much in anybody for like an early dinner time, in my opinion. And I go over this for people at home watching. I don't go for at the ballpark. At that point, I'm kind of more flexible. But like, you're not being forced to, especially with the pitch clock. Games to 6:10 or 6:40, by 10 o'clock, you're done. If not earlier, you're finished.
Well, I think the number one thing about the 6:40 start time is that they did that so they could get people like parents and students, younger students, to go to the game. Because if it's at 6:40, you figure it's a 2.5 hour game right now. So 7:40, 8:40, it gets done at just after 9 o'clock.
Yep.
I can get home by 9:30. It's not too late.
Yep.
You got school the next day.
Perfect.
You can still get the, if my kid's a sixth grader and wants to go and you lived in Kansas City. Oh, okay. Kid gets out of school at 3 or whenever they're getting out of school. Nowadays, it's kind of wild. They start at just ridiculous times. But they get done about 3, all right, cool. Go there at 5 when you get off of work. See, I like the 6:40 start time. It's because if you get off work at 5,
you get yourself a lot more buffer for the getting to work and getting to the ballpark.
It gets you 30 minutes more. So I get that.
That's a good point. You know, that elevates the 6:40 over the 6:10.
Yeah. So you get done at 5 o'clock. You drive home. You get home at 5:20, 5:30. You pick up, little Susie or, little Johnny, and you grab them, and then you eat at home, and then you leave at 6 o'clock.
Boom, get to the ballpark ready to go.
At 6:20, because most of the time you can get to places in Kansas City about 20 minutes. Ballpark, 6:40, first pitch. You're done by just a little after 9. You're at home. They can be in bed by 10 o'clock. Okay, so that makes sense. I understand that. But I like the 6:40 time.
I do too.
I really do. Why? And they're doing the 6:40 for home games for March, April, and then September. So the home games in June, against Cincinnati coming up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are all at 7:10. Of course, Fridays at 7:10 because all Friday games are at 7:10. So why not just keep it at 6:40 year round?
They should.
Also, Royals, I'm giving you free advice. Ain't nobody going to your damn game anyway. Ain't nobody showing up. How many people were in attendance yesterday?
10,000.
Hold on a second. I gotta hit the refresh button. Don't look it up, Fulton. Don't look it up. I got it here. Okay. The Royals lost yesterday 8-5. All righty. How many?
10,000.
10,000. You are too pessimistic.
12,000.
Still pessimistic.
15,000.
You're way too optimistic.
14,000.
14,229 showed up at the K. Ain't nobody going to the games anyways.
Buddy, that's like one of the higher marks of this season.
Actually, Thursday's game against
Thursday against the White Sox, that last game, they had 20,000 that day.
Yes, they did.
School day?
Yes, it was.
Okay, that inflates it.
Doesn't count.
But like 12, 11,
9,
12. Then Locaine Day, they had the 29,000.
Yep. And then
it's like,
yep,
straight up. That's one of the bigger marks of the year. The team is bad. It's a bad ball club, and no one wants to go see that. And I don't blame any of you. No. I've made my case. I will take the bullet for all of you, and I will let my eyes bleed watching every inning. You guys don't have to do this. Fulton, you don't have to do it with me.
Fulton, I was once young and full of vibrance and hope for the Royals, and I got older.
Buddy, I'm going to be like 55 and still this way.
I know. And you're going to have ulcers because
yes.
of it. Oh, my goodness. So
ulcers, heart palpitations, a lot of problems.
We still don't even know who's pitching for the Royals.
Trust me. I just looked around again. No one has said anything. I don't know. Like, you have two options. You legitimately have two options. You try and opener this thing again, which you have guys on the roster to try. Like Mike Myers didn't get used, and as far as I know, is still on the roster unless he got shipped away and I didn't see it in the dark. You have a Bolt guy there. Can Carlos Hernandez go again? Like in theory, maybe he can.
He should.
It would be a day rest between that's the kind of
You might need 2.
My only good thought is call Austin Cox. He's in Omaha. It's not a far trip. Get him to Kansas City. Give him an actual start.
Who would you move down?
Max Castillo.
He's already moved down.
No, he hasn't gone back down since he came back up.
I thought he got moved back down.
No, not he bulked after Hernandez and hasn't gone back down yet. As far as I know, I'll double check the roster.
All I know is bet the Tigers to win this game today. Very
because they're throwing Eduardo Rodriguez, who apparently relearned how to pitch.
Yeah. We're gonna get some more Royals. We got everyone loves the list. We're gonna do the worst baseball contracts for the Royals. We'll see if Fulton and I are on the same page. But speaking of money-making opportunities, I hope everyone hopped aboard the Denver Nuggets train and bet the Nuggets to win every game, because if you did, you have made money because they swept the Lakers. Do the Heat sweep the Celtics? I'm not as confident in that one.
I think Boston finally shows a little fight. I think we get a gentleman's sweep in this one.
I think the Heat are going to do it. I think Boston gave up last game.
I mean, they might have. They ain't got that dog in them, that's for sure. Which means we're going to have a week and a half until we watch more basketball.
No, the NBA Finals Game 1 is set for June 1st.
Yeah, we're going to have like 10 days until we get to watch basketball again. Actually, less. It'll be like 8 days.
A week.
Yeah, because it'll be a week from Thursday.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because, this month has 31 days.
Yeah, 31 days. So we work from Thursday. So basically 9 days is what we'd have if Miami finishes this thing off.
I was thinking about this, though. With what we have seen in the playoffs for the NBA, the number one thing about the NBA is load management. That's the biggest issue. That's their time of
that's their pace of play,
or their balls in play, right?
Yeah,
because
that's what theirs is.
In baseball, there's not enough action.
Yeah,
we need more action. ACT, ION, action. Anyways, you never listened to Jock Rock, apparently.
No,
and the NBA's is
load management. Okay, it's stars sitting too much.
With what has occurred this playoff, okay, what is really deterring any of that because, and I'm going to lay this all out for you. What was the seeds for the conference finals, right?
You had a 1, a 7 in the West.
And the 7 seed had to win the play-in game to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then in the East, you had the 2 and the 8.
8. Okay.
Which also had to win not 1, but 2 play-in games because they lost the first one.
Yeah. So here's what I'm trying to get to real quick when it comes to the NBA. The Nuggets are the best team in the league, and home field didn't really matter. I mean, if you look at it, it didn't really matter for the Nuggets. They were going to beat the Lakers.
Yeah, anybody you could have flipped around and had most of those games at crypto.com.
It wouldn't have mattered, okay? And then look at the same thing on the other side. Home court advantage didn't really
Miami's
matter.
Beating everybody everywhere.
So if you are in the NBA and you have seen that a 7 seed can get to the conference finals and an 8 seed is going to make it to the NBA finals, why would you risk it if all it is, and we've talked about this in the NFL. Now, I think it was, definitely will be in the NFL in the NFC. In the AFC, we've always said, and I think it's changing in the AFC because you got to have that guy at quarterback.
Yeah.
But the old adage was just get into the dance. You just need to
get in and see what happens.
See what happens. In the AFC, not the case.
Yeah, because of the and that is a good question.
Now the NFC, hold on, real quick. The NFC, it's just into the dance.
Yeah,
because you can get on fire.
Yeah,
because that's what hockey is right now as well. In hockey, all you have to have is get into the playoffs, and all of a sudden your goalie turn into Martin Brodeur, and you will have a chance because that's what's happening to the Florida Panthers right now.
Yeah, hockey, there's a good example of it.
Hockey is the most volatile playoff outcome.
Yeah.
Basketball is the next from what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost had, honestly, the Eastern Conference Finals were the Knicks versus the Heat.
Yeah.
And the Knicks were a 5 seed.
Yeah.
So what would make me be like, yeah, it's really important that I get that 2 seed or that 3 seed.
So the fascinating thing comes to me to this, and I think it's an interesting thought experiment.
And I'm not like for or against it.
Yeah, it's worth thinking about. Here's what I will go with it, though. 1, this is the first year it's happened. Like, this is the first year we're getting some real wonky things happening. So you can't. It would be wrong to assume this is a trend,
okay?
Because it's happened one time. And as we just discussed, the NBA playoffs can be volatile. Playoff structures in general, like the more games you play, the less volatile they are because you get the balancing of the one game. It's why I always say the NFL playoffs are actually kind of streaky because anything can happen in one game to get you there versus the 7 games and the 5s. It's not as simple as that.
The NFL is showing nowadays that you better have specific individuals.
The NFL is also a little different in some ways. Every playoff is different in structure. But the point stands on, 1, if I'm an NBA team, I'm going, I think about it. But also, I would need to see this happen again. Because we got to remember is also, like, Miami is doing something awesome right now. They truly are. And what I'm about to say, I'm not saying it in the way that other fans of this team are using it as we were so close. We be the scrappy ones too. I'm not doing that. I want to clarify that. The Heat were 3 minutes away from losing to the Bulls and not even being here.
Correct.
I don't say that in the way some Bulls fans are, in the way of like, well, that means no, the Bulls would have gotten killed by Milwaukee if they were here. Make that very clear. But that's the risk Miami was running based on where they finished. They had to play extra games to get here. And then they did get on a heater.
Oh, no, they're still on.
Well, yeah, they're still on one because Jimmy G Buckets, the G does stand for gets, is just playing absurdly well right now. Like, there's just not repeatable things here. And then you look at
But I do think that we are in the peak, though. We are in the peak of load management.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, without a shout out. And then you look at the Western Conference. Yes, the 7th seed made it to the Western Conference Finals. But let's think about the things in between. One, they had to play an extra game to win their playing game to be the 7. So they had to do that. Secondly, they got to face a 2 seed that arguably could have been to certain levels probably more talented, but were a bunch of young dudes who didn't know what they were doing. And that gave advantage to the veteran heavy team. That's what LeBron James on
I think you needed to lead with that.
I should have led with that, but still. Also, that 7 seed has LeBron James on it.
Okay.
And then
I want to move real quick. I want to move to LeBron real quick because I'm with you.
I have to see it again, but it is a thing we're thinking about. I will say it for the NBA playoffs. Just I'd think about it, but I still would rather play fewer games.
The LeBron James situation is fat. He's played 20 years in the league. Yeah. Have you seen the theory from Rob Perez, who is Worldwide Rob on Twitter?
I've not seen what Rob said.
Okay. He says, what if LeBron retires for the 2023 season, watches Bronny play at USC, then comes back in 24, he can decline the year. Okay. Not play for the Lakers because technically he has one more year under contract and he's a free agent, but he wants to save his body one more year.
Go somewhere, play with Bronny on a retirement tour.
Bronny then gets drafted by the Bulls, and then LeBron, because that's what's going to happen in the lottery in 2024.
You're basically trying to see who would get Bronny, which in addition could mean who gets LeBron James.
It will be because he's openly said he wants to play with this stuff.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot about this.
I don't think that's a terrible situation. No. But if he does that, fans will destroy him. That will be like the decision all over.
It will. And here's what I'll say on LeBron here. One, I don't think he's lying when he says he's contemplating retirement right now and like seriously doing it. I think there's some theory to, I just played basically every minute of a Western Conference Finals to try and keep us alive. How much longer can I keep doing that? How much? Because there's also just the mentals that have putting up with it. But on the same token, and I do not say this to diss LeBron James. I'm not a LeBron guy, nor am I a LeBron hater.
I think LeBron James is awesome.
I'm pretty neutral on him. I think he is, one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game. I could not see LeBron James not getting a retirement tour. Of not like, I will announce this is my last year and do one last run. A little bit less for like just him of like, I want every team praising me. Of like, then he can more openly soak up all of this last bit of what's been his life.
I think he just wants to play with the kid.
I know, and he's very honest about that. But he also has said that just because that's his goal does not mean it has to happen. Because maybe it's not Bronny's goal.
We'll wait and see.
But I'm interested to see what happens. I'm really interested to see what happens.
Coming up next, everyone loves the list. Worst Royals contract. Because Hunter Dozier got DFA'd, we were going to go with the worst contracts in Royals history. Number 4, what do you got, Fulton?
This one pains me to say, but given the value the player gave for the contract they signed, it was not a good move at all. Number 4 is Alex Gordon.
Yeah.
His $72 million deal was not good, and that hurts me so much, but it wasn't.
Number 4 for me, Ian Kennedy, 5 years, $70 million. Terrible. And that was honestly maybe the biggest big whiff, because that was right after they won it all, and they were trying to keep it going, and Kennedy was terrible.
Number 3 for me, Omar Infante. Not good. Did not go well. Lord, was he bad.
Omar Infante is my number 3. 4 years, $30 million. He almost got voted in as an all-star.
Russ fans, you're the best at stuffing about.
He was terrible.
Oh, he's so bad.
That's why the Royals traded Ben Zobrist, or traded for Ben Zobrist.
Yeah, you need a second baseman, and you did that.
Okay.
Number 2 for me, partly on field, partially off the field, Jose Guillen. That contract was bad, and dude, he had problems.
Jose Guillen's my number 2. 3 years, $36 million, and he was just a bad guy.
He was a bad guy. Did okay with the bat, could not defend. Couldn't for his life defend.
He really didn't even hit it.
Like, no, he wasn't. He was a by OPS plus below average hitter in Kansas City. But there's a reason Jose Guillen played for so many teams in his career. Overall, not a great guy. Number 1 for me is Ian Kennedy. That was horrible. That was a horrible deal. I don't care. You got 1 good year as a starter out of him. And also the optics of that was more than double what he was projected to make anywhere else. It was also the overpay to me was insane.
Okay, I can't go with Ian Kennedy, and the reason why is because, 1, he was productive 1 year.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And he actually was a good closer another year.
Fair enough.
And you got something for him.
Fair enough.
Number 1 is Hunter Dozier. Hunter Dozier is the number 1 because, 1, he was literally... He's a top 6 worst player in Royals history, and he got the money's not 4 years, $25 million, but the fact,
the principle of the match.
Yeah, that was real bad.
I feel your point. I respect it.
Real bad. And I couldn't put Alex Gordon on there because he had a home run against the Mets in the World Series.
Fair enough.
Coming up next, we're going to talk with Brendan Wierzinski. Royals baseball coming up tonight. 6 o'clock pregame coverage. 6:40 first pitch. The Royals and the Tigers. Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a 5-game losing streak if they lose tonight.
They've avoided it so far.
And of the 5 potential 5-game losing streaks here as of almost, right? 4-game losing streaks. I think this is the one that you should be worried about.
I mean, yeah, I'm mainly worried about it, mainly because I don't know what human is taking them out tonight for Kansas City. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm truly not understanding what's about to happen.
As opposed to, an alien.
I mean, yeah, I would take an alien right now, honestly. I mean, probably be better than some of the things Kansas City can throw.
We are going to get to more NFL. We've got odds makers coming up. And that is what we are going to lead in to our next guest. He is Brendan Dworzynski from 580 Sports Talk. Brendan, how are you on this Tuesday?
I'm good.
All righty.
How are you guys?
You are not the most pessimistic about the Royals amongst the 4 of us. And here is the reason why. Dan, Nuggets fan Lucero, gave us the first 50-50. What are the odds that the Royals lose 100 games?
Mm-hmm.
You never got to 50-50. Dan was the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fulton.
No, you are correct. Going back into the history books here, Dan was first one to get 50%.
Get 50%. Okay. We had Jesse Newell say 10%.
Yeah, Jesse was with me. Yeah. Well, it's my life, Jesse.
Yeah. What was my last one? 40?
40.
40. Okay. It's been 2 weeks since we've had you on.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you this, Brendan Dworzynski. What are the odds that the Royals lose 100 games?
So they would have to go to lose 100 games, and correct my math if I'm wrong here.
We're probably not right now.
48 and 65.
Okay.
Believe that's what it's down to, yeah.
So they would need to win more. So to get to that point, they'd have to 48 wins in their next 113 games. They need to play 425 baseball the rest of the way.
Just to let you know, in the month of May, they have won 7 and lost 12. So they're 7 and 12.
That's 368 baseball.
So basically they have to win 2 more games a month more than right now, and that would probably get them close to it.
I will say, well, here's the problem, is that I think the hitting is going to be good enough that they will have more competitive at-bats by the end of the year. I don't think they have enough arms to have enough competitive games pitching-wise by the end of the year. The starters are too bad.
We're in agreement.
I'll join Dan. I'll say 50-50.
50-50. You don't want to go 51?
No.
You're not going to say it's more likely than not yet?
No, not yet.
There yet. Okay.
We're actually going to talk about this coming up to lead off 580 Sports Talk today at 3 o'clock, but there are even more underlying numbers that would indicate the Royals offense is doing the right things. It's just not turning into actual production. Do you know who, and I didn't know this was a statistic. Do you know who leads the league in defensive runs saved against? So in other words, what offensive player has the most runs saved by the opposing defense this year?
I saw this yesterday.
So it's got to be somebody.
So I unfortunately already know the answer.
All of Major League Baseball, however many hundreds of players who played a game this year.
Give me a actual scenario. Of what this
you hit a rocket to the gap and the center fielder sprints and makes a leaping diving snag out of it.
And we're talking about the hitter.
Yes.
So what hitter has been on the wrong side?
It's a Royal. Royal.
What hitter's been on the wrong side of great defense more than any other player in all of baseball?
Oh boy, Vinny P seems to be up there.
It's him.
Is it really?
Is it really? He is first in all of baseball.
What is it? Minus 49?
Something like that.
Man,
yeah.
That doesn't stun me.
And he's still hitting. Yeah. Now, granted, he's been hitting less recently, but he's still producing a little bit. The exit velocity, hard hit percentage numbers, they're still high for Witt, but he's not getting on base. They've been high for Melendez. He's been a little bit more up and down with some of the peripheral numbers.
Great right now.
They are doing the right things in terms of how hard they are hitting the ball. It's one of the few things you can control, right? Is how hard you hit the ball. Eventually, that usually pays off in the form of getting on base. Right now, that's really only happening for Nick Pratto.
And here's where
peripherals are absurd.
I'll get to you during odds makers. I'll make my official prediction. But I have said that the Royals, what did you say they had to go 48 and
65?
65.
See, they don't. They have to go 48 and 55 because they're going to have 2 5-game losing streaks the rest of this year. I'm guaranteeing you right now they're going to have 2 5-game losing streaks. So therefore, they have to go.
That's pretty optimistic.
So then how come you're at only 50%?
Because it's really hard to lose 100 games.
Okay. Like they're on pace right now to do that though.
Yeah. Oh, they're on pace to lose a lot more than 100.
Okay.
Right now, a 286 winning percentage.
I don't want to talk about it.
That is a pace to win 46 games.
I was going to say 48.
Yeah, 46 game pace. What's the worst season ever? 41?
I think. It's Cleveland Spiders.
Wait, what year?
Oh, no, we're talking 162 games.
Oh,
yeah, this would have been.
Was it not Cleveland?
No, they were playing 154.
They only won 20 games, but they only played 154.
I'm conflating my bad teams.
We're talking live ball era here.
I'm conflating my bad teams. Yeah, it's 40-something.
It's the...
I thought it was still a Cleveland
I think it's the
team.
Tigers.
I thought it was the Tigers. I thought they won 46.
So if we are talking about the 64 or the 162 game era, it's the 2003 Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, they won 46 games, right?
43. They won 43 games.
They won 43.
The 62 Mets played 160. They won 40 of them. They went 40 and 120. And then also still the live ball era. The Boston Braves of 1935 went 38 and 115.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pretty rough.
Still going to hold. They won't be in that category when the season's over. Mainly because if they are, again, you guys are going to need to put up help wanted ad.
If you want to go even further back and really dive into the history books, the Brooklyn Atlantics of the 1875 National Association
that didn't count.
Went 2 and 42. They won 2 of their 44 games.
That didn't count.
I'm just putting it out there that they did.
Do you have a worst contract in Royals history?
No, because I don't have enough background knowledge of who got paid what during some of those really terrible teams in the 2000s.
I'm going to tell you
because the further back you go, I mean, the money was so different.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And less of an albatross. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I don't.
The furthest back I go is Jose Guillen.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have gotten to that name. I don't know what he was making, though.
3 of 36. But he was so bad. And he was just a bad guy.
Well, yeah.
Not good dude.
Yeah, also not great.
He was not very likable. Let's put it that way. Not very likable at all.
Where did you put Dozier?
Number 1.
Number 1? Did you put him number 1?
I didn't put him on.
He's one of the top. One of the bottom 5 worst players of all time for the Royals. He's minus 2.7. There's only 4 other Royals ahead of him, or 5 other Royals ahead of him.
I just saw his career wins above replacement
minus
with
2.7.
the Royals. Yeah, no, I went to the wrong count here. Among all players in recent years, I think he's the 4th worst in all of baseball.
Oh, buddy, since 2021, he's the worst.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
2021?
Since 2021, he is, by wins above replacement, the worst everyday player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. It's number 1. And the reason why is Kennedy got paid a bunch of money, but Kennedy also had 2 of his 5 years were good. Yeah. He was a good closer, and he was a good starter for one of those years. And then you traded him. You got something for him. Did he live up to the contract? No, but at least you got something. Hunter Dozier was never good after getting the money. Never good.
Yeah, here it is. The worst wins above replacement in Royals history. Can you name the 3 worst than Hunter Dozier? He's 4th.
Oh, he's 4th. Oh,
he's 4th.
Yuniesky Betancourt's number 1.
Number 1,
yeah. Yuniesky Betancourt.
Wow, minus 3.4 in 4 seasons.
Yes.
That's Yuniesky Betancourt was bad.
2-time Royal.
That is 2-time Royal.
Two-time
they
Royal.
Brought it back.
Yuniesky Betancourt.
I
don't know. I know Dozier was 4. Betancourt was 1. I don't remember 2 and 3.
Oh, I know you remember number 3. I know you remember him.
Oh, yeah, I did see this. Brohern.
Yes, Ryan O'Hearn.
Ryan O'Hearn.
He only played 5 years.
Who got way too many at bats.
Yes, that is true. See, here's the argument, and Fulton, I don't know if this is the argument you made for not including him.
$26 million is not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money.
I get that.
Now, for the production, it is still effectively wasted money. I think you have to weight it with how good the team is. Now, granted, for the Royals, there haven't been a whole lot of good teams, but like Hunter Dozier didn't really change anything.
For me, you have to. It's a complex scenario on what you can value to be bad, because I think you have to value the amount of money being spent. There's a level to this. You have to value what the player's contributing to the money. It also has to be the amount of money being spent. And to me, there also needs to be a level of how much did you potentially overpay. There's a reason for Ian Kennedy's is the worst. The Royals paid him over double what anyone else was going to be willing to pay that man. The overpay on Ian Kennedy for one good season of starting, and then for a closer to make as much money as he did, is ridiculous. That's why I put Kennedy there. Is the over, and that's my thing with Dozier. Was the contract bad? Yes, but when you get to the actual financial figures, the money wasn't that bad. Also, it was the player making the money.
I guess for me, it's what else were you doing with that money?
That's also a valid point,
because that was a homegrown guy who got that contract. Are you spending? Is Dayton Moore circa, when did he get that deal? 2019?
Yep. And it's fall of the offseason 2019 before COVID.
Okay, so going after 19.
Yeah, after he had the year with the Titleist Pro Bowl.
So are you spending that $26 million elsewhere?
Maybe, I don't know.
On a free agent. Because
if you are,
and if you want to argue, then yes, they would have, then I would say, okay, yes, that makes it certainly worse. I don't know that Dayton Moore signing anyone who was valued at $26 million over 4 years.
I think he just signed Hunter Dozier because they were buddies.
There's a lot of things there. It's a mess.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they were buddies.
That entire thing was just a mess.
It's bad. It's bad news bears. Okay. Brandon, I do have to get to your opinion on a few other things when it comes to what is happening in the sports world right now. Flexing Thursday Night Football. Not a big deal. Big deal.
I mean, if the commissioner of the NFL is to be believed, it's not a big deal because they're going to be very selective about it. I think it's just unnecessary. You're on TV 4 nights a week. You cannot have that many great games. And the thing is, sometimes games bust. Sometimes you think a game is going to be a good game and it ends up not being a good game. We all point to, oh my God, Colts versus Broncos. Oh, that was the worst game of all time. And 1 week later, you had the second worst game of all time when you got Commanders Bears on Thursday night last year, right? Going into the year, Colts Broncos looked like a good game. Maybe not like a Sunday night game, but you get Matt Ryan, a Colts team that probably shouldn't have been as bad as they were, but Ryan was also so bad and their backups were terrible. And the Broncos, a lot of folks thought were going to be either A, at least pretty entertaining, and B, a playoff team. Well, Russell Wilson was, too busy selling concussion water and building his own office at Dove Valley I said that same thing yesterday, to actually care about playing football and learning his new offense with Nate Hackett.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
And Nate Hackett was also terrible. And Matt Ryan's arm, less juice than Fulton's arm by even week 5 of last year, week 7, whatever it was.
Bad.
Sometimes that happens. And if you're saying a month out, you're going to move a game. So we looked at it yesterday. Chargers versus Raiders is week 15 Thursday Night Football this year. Oh, man, the Raiders are terrible. The Raiders suck. They are absolute doggy-doo. So by November 16th, you've got to pick another game out there and say, we're moving this to Thursday night that week. Do you know how much can change in a month? You can have 2 teams. Oh, man, these teams might be fighting for a playoff spot. Boom, 3-game losing streak. They're out of the playoff race. All of a sudden, you end up with that same game. Quarterback gets hurt. Now you end up with a lame game again. If you were to go 2 or 3 years with 10% of your Thursday night games being good, I would say, you know what, business-wise, I get it. But I think this is an overcorrection. I think you needed to give it more time because it just, it happens sometimes. We've had years where the Monday night schedule is just awful. truly awful. We've had years where Sunday night's not all that good because it's hard to predict. And Sunday night, you can even flex more easily. I think it's smart to give a long window so fans can make adjustments if they are going to go to a game, fly in, whatever. I think it's good for the players that they are not surprised by it. You know, they get 4 weeks to prepare instead of 2. But I just think it's an overcorrection. I don't think it was necessary.
Alrighty. Last two for the road we got for you here. Roger Goodell said this today. He said on back-to-back games for the Jaguars in London, would he do anything more than that? And he said, we'll evaluate everything. We would try 3 at some point, possibly. Is this the first domino for having a London team?
Yes. I have always been in the camp that it won't happen because there are too many logistical nightmares. But this is pretty much him endorsing it.
Here's what I think is the next step. And I don't know if I've run this by you, Fulton.
You haven't.
I think they are wanting to do first a 17-game schedule in London. So therefore, they can sell a season ticket package for London.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you have the Jaguars play 2 games, and you don't have to worry about a bye week because you're not having a team over there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Jaguars play 2 games in a row, and then you fill it all out. You just have the rest of the 32 teams create a 17-game schedule or a 16-game schedule. And you don't do it week 1 or week 2. Maybe you do it the last 16 weeks of the season. Somebody is always playing over there.
Or like weeks 3 through 15 or something.
You know what I mean?
Gives them space at the end.
That way, that there gives you not a team over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you talk, Travis Kelce said on his New Heights podcast, he goes, what's fun about those games is everybody celebrates everything because there's no true fan base over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they want to watch football. So when a team scores, eruption. When another team scores, eruption. I think that's the hope there is you essentially get a London team money-wise.
I see what you're saying, and I think that's a very well thought out idea.
You know what I mean?
I would just say as a fan of the game and as someone who is also trying to look out for the business side of it, if I'm the NFL, I would and London is going to be kind of the epicenter for this. I think it would be smarter business to play, if you're going to play a full slate of international games, I think it would make more sense to play in multiple countries. Like, I would rather it be in the true international slate and have it be the London schedule. Because, and I've got the numbers in front of me here from American Football International. The top countries outside the U.S. in terms of NFL popularity.
I think Mexico's number 1.
Mexico's number 1.
Yeah.
Yes, which understandable. You know what number 2 is?
Australia?
No, Australia is number 8. This country has a gigantic population. Do you have a guess? Gigantic. And it's not super crazy far away.
Canada?
Canada would come in 3rd. Brazil. Football is big in Brazil.
Really?
Because Brazil has 1 billion people. It is so big. Is huge. Play a game in Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo. Play multiple games in Germany.
Play where they played the USA game against Portugal, Manaus, where people were swimming out there.
Seriously, 2 games in Mexico, 3 in London, 3 in Germany.
I see.
I would rather see that personally.
All right, last thing. Okay, LeBron James takes next year off. I asked this to Fulton. He looked at me mad and mean. LeBron James takes next year off. Watches his son play college basketball, rests his body, comes back. The Bulls draft Bronny James and they sign LeBron James. Are you in?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in.
LeBron and Bronny playing for your Chicago Bulls.
I mean, Fulton can speak to this more than you can, but signing an old guy who can't shoot threes is pretty much all our front office has done for 3 years.
Very on brand.
I mean,
amen to that, brother.
He's pretty much a perfect Bull at this point.
Truly.
Brandon, thanks so much.
See you guys at 3.
Brandon Rosinski, 580 Sports coming up at 3 o'clock. We'll get to the NFL changes coming up. Tuesday, Jake and Fulton Caster with you. As always, let us know your thoughts. Hit us up on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits phone line. 785-272-9429. You can also text in 272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on our YouTube page as well. You can go to youtube.com/@sportson580. Go to our website, 580wibw.com as well. Royals in action tonight. It's Tigers. Fulton, are you ready for the emotional hedge?
Sure.
If the Royals lose tonight, we'll give away tickets tomorrow.
Okay.
So that will make you feel better because we're going to give somebody a chance to go to the ballpark and have a good time.
Yeah.
Because it's always fun going to the ballpark.
Oh, it's always a good time. Never a bad time. Never a bad time.
I went and took my kids to their first ever Royals game earlier this year on a day game. And even wrangling a 3-year-old and a 20-month-old. It was still so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Now that means the day at the ballpark.
And I got a beer bat.
I need to get that next time I go. I need to try one of them beer bats.
You want me to bring up? My wife she saw me have a beer bat and goes, "Whoa, what is that?" I said, "It's a beer bat." She goes, "I need one." I said, "Yeah, you do." And so we have 2 beer bats right now. I need a beer bat holder. Because what I could do is I'd bring that into the station, and I need to have something that I can like clip into it so it holds it. Because otherwise, you have to hold it the entire time.
Yeah, it's not designed to be like stood on its end.
No. You can't because it's got the round in it. But it is perfect to like swing. I'll bring it in tomorrow. My son goes, "Dad, that's so cool. Can I have a drink?" I said, "No."
Nope.
And he goes, "That's a baseball bat." I said, "Yeah." Yes. And it holds it holds daddy drink, what we call beer, daddy drink. And he goes, "Can I see it?" And so I had to chug my beer.
Oh, of course.
And so then he started swinging the beer bat.
You can't have him, spilling the beer if he's trying to swing the beer bat.
Absolutely not.
Can't have that.
There's 24 ounces in there. I probably had to chug about 16 of them.
Yeah, it happens. Speaking of we're slightly off the rails here, but it's entirely more fun. I was at my first and only Wind Surge game I've gone to this year down in Wichita. Buddy and I went a matter of weeks ago. The Wind Surge have a new promotion that I don't know if they do every game, but they did it for a good chunk of games. Between the gates opening and first pitch, most beer is $3. When I tell you I've never drank beer faster.
Hold on a second. What kind of beer are we talking about here?
What was I? I think I was just going for a very basic Bud Light. I think my buddy...
Like all domestics, like Bud,
I think
Coors,
it was all domestics,
Miller.
but a few others. Like, it wasn't everything in the park.
Are they just like the 12-ouncers?
Oh, they were like this little cups. I think like close to 16-ounce cups.
Like the souvenir cups?
They would put it in the regular. They wouldn't. Well, actually, yes, because I got a souvenir cup for my first one, and then they wouldn't refill my souvenir cup. They would give me the regular plastic cup, then I put it in the souvenir cup. But when I tell you I've never chugged beer faster to get them in, my buddy and I, on our third round, we were getting in the process, got him, and then went to go get hot dogs. We were about 25 minutes. We were watching the clock count down first pitch. We, in the process of getting that beer and waiting for hot dogs to get, finished our entire beers.
There you go.
So then we got we literally, the best part is the girl who was running a little beer cart watched us walk over there, chug beer, get hot dogs, and immediately walk back. And she was like, "Oh, it's fast." It's like, we're working on the clock here. So speaking of chugging beer, I've never drank beer faster when it was for cheap beer.
Yeah.
Because prices doubled after first pitch.
With you now. 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame coverage here for your home of Royals baseball.
Someone's going to pitch.
Tell me your team has no idea without telling me your team has no idea. It's 2:11 and we still don't know who's pitching for the Royals.
Thank you, Brady Singer.
I have no idea what's going on.
I firmly believe the Royals would never confirm this. I firmly believe this. This would not be happening if Brady Singer did not crap the bed last night.
He definitely did.
The fact that they had to go to the bullpen so early screwed everything up because they were just. This is the negative to the opener strategy. Is bullpen gets taxed one day, it throws everything out of whack.
Yeah. They do have an off day on Thursday, so that does kind of help.
It helps a little.
But then that puts a lot of pressure on tomorrow's starter as well. The whole thing.
So yeah, you would need. Well, luckily that starter's Zach Greinke. So and Zach Greinke at home. So you would think it's, but Zach Greinke doesn't throw a lot of pitches because he's old.
Yeah.
So you're in a bad spot.
Not good.
Thank you, Brady Singer, again.
What else is not good is
everything the NFL is doing right now.
Pretty much. The NFL made a big change, and this is a big time change for the game itself. Is the NFL has officially voted on putting the ball at the 25-yard line following a fair catch on a kickoff. So you kick it into the end zone, touchback goes out to the 25, or fair catch goes out to the 25. You catch it at the 2-yard line. Fair catch it at the 2-yard line. Wave it up in the air. Fair catch, 2-yard line. You get it at the 25. You fair catch it at the 15. You get it at the 25-yard line. Now, the reason why they're doing this, according to Ian Rappaport. So this is what Ian Rappaport said today on the Pat McAfee show, why the NFL is wanting to do this.
Was kickers have gotten very good. Punchers, of course, have always been good. But kickers have gotten very good. Yeah. So what they've been doing is basically creating a situation where opponents have to make returns. Yeah. So you had returns spike dramatically over the last couple of years. Concussions have also gone up.
So concussions have gone up. I have not seen that data. I need to see it. This many plays the concussion had happened on a kickoff return in 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019. I need to see that. I have not seen that. People say that. I need to see that data. I cannot find that data. I looked all morning for that. Cannot find it. So NFL, if that's the case, and let's say I'm just throwing out random numbers here. Let's say 20 concussions happened in 2019 on kickoffs. And then it was 19 concussions in 2020. And then 23 concussions in 2021. And then this last year, and I agree with him, kickers have gotten pretty good to where it lands at about the goal line, 1-yard line. All right. And it's one of those things where if you are a kick returner and it's right there because you don't know kind of maybe where you're at, you take off because you don't want to risk it. Right. So they did that. And in 2020, 23, 22, and this one was like 40. This last year, there were 40 concussions on kickoffs. A big increase. I can at least understand it a little bit more. All right. But I would like to see the data. Because with this now, if it is because of, and they've made it safer, right? That and trust me, I was on the wrong end of one of these puppies, because what they used to do is you'd have 3- and 4-man wedges that would link up and would just destroy people. I remember one game because I was the guy who ran down and I was the contain guy to make sure it didn't get far on. And if the return started coming, I remember one time I'm at Northwest Missouri State and I'm the contain guy. I'm running down there and I'm, trying to keep everything in, to try to get, just as high as the kickoff guy. I'm not there to make the tackle. I'm there to make the returner cut back inside, right? And all of a sudden, I got 4 tight ends linked up arm in arm running right at me. And what does your coach tell you to do? Bow up, LeBron. And so you try to, and then you just get steamrolled. I mean, they pushed me all the way back to the bleachers. That I get. You can't do that anymore. If you link up even 2 people, that's a penalty. There's no more wedge busters. We used to have a linebacker on our team. When you'd have 4-man wedges, the kickoff return would have 4 dudes. And you'd have one of our guys, he was crazy. He was a linebacker. Remember, linebackers either one really, really crazy or really cerebral.
Yeah,
one of
those two.
And his job was not to make the tackle. It was to blow up the wedge. Take out 3 dudes. Run as fast as you can and just put your head down and destroy 3 guys. That was his job. I understand that. That's why they got rid of all of that. So now it's just one-on-one. Okay. Well, they're saying apparently it's still too long of a distance and then they collide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of completely getting rid of the kickoff, because what they're doing right here, if you are even remotely smart as a team and a special teams coach, you only return a kickoff roughly 2 times a game because of this new rule. There's no longer a Devin Hester. There's no longer in the college game. There are some great returns in the college game. Just look at, K-State. If Tyler Lock was back there, it didn't matter where it was. You take that puppy out. If it was Morgan Burns, you take it out. If it was Aaron Lockett going way back, take it out. Terrence Newman, take it out. Malik Knowles, take it out. I'm sure I'm missing someone for special teams but you get the idea. For KU, James Sims, take that puppy out because you were special. There's no more special returners anymore. It's just not a thing anymore because there's not many returners. So there's only 2 times you should return a kickoff right now. It is if there is a minute and a half left in the first half or a minute, you got like 1 timeout. Try to get a big return, set yourself up for a potential field goal. That's one. And then the other time is at the end of the game. You're down by 3. You have no timeouts or 1 timeout. And if you can put together a good return, maybe you get it out to the 40. You gain 15 yards, or you get it out to the 35. So then you're just a couple passes away from a field goal attempt. Like, that's it. Otherwise, why would you risk it? The odds of you getting back to the 25-yard line are not very good. You have essentially eliminated a kickoff. So if that's the case, why not just eliminate the kickoff and just put the ball at the 25 from the very beginning? That's the thing to me of this whole point. This is almost as big of a change as moving the PAT back, but it's still a pretty efficient kick, with the PAT.
The percentages are still high. They just changed the percentage a bit. Here's my thing on this kickoff rule. And this is the overall optics of the situation. I cannot take the NFL seriously when they say they're doing things for player safety. I can't. Because in the exact same time span and at the exact same meetings in which the NFL and Roger Goodell basically forced this through to say, we're doing this, it's because we want you guys to be safer. In these, barely 24-hour period. He also said, but I'm going to make you play on Thursdays more. A thing we all know and every player has said is one of the worst things ever on your body. Because you get 3 days to recover from a car crash to go play another car crash. That we have all the data to also say, where we have all the data that, we point out guys getting hurt and all this other stuff. So that's my number one problem with this is I just be honest with me about what your intent is. Because if your intent with this is player safety, then be honest with me that you're doing Thursday Night Football flexing because you just want more money.
And you want to appease Amazon.
Yeah, because this isn't like the Thursday Night Football thing is Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It's Amazon, and its first year had a few games where it's like, oh, we can't have that for our product. We're going to, strong arm you to get us better games. Like, be honest with me on either end. The other thing is this. There is a way, and this is the most baffling to me. There is a demonstrative way to make the kick, and as I've said, and as you have kind of said too, football in itself is not a safe sport.
No.
And as I've always said, there's a line where we're going to have to get to and get comfortable with the game is as safe as it's going to be. It's never going to be perfectly safe.
If you play football, you know what could happen.
And for everyone else, the line is different. Like for every person out there, you got to draw your own line. And with the people running it, their line is really what matters more than anything because they make the rules. But the game's going to be perfectly safe. I don't understand why the NFL has not at least even openly talked about considering implementing the low-impact kickoff the XFL uses. Because you keep the kickoff as a play.
So explain So this is the kickoff that the XFL has done now for 2 years.
Yeah, since the XFL has been re-implemented. What they do, and this is all rough on yardage here. I don't have the exact yardage in my head. Well, you have your kicker way in the back at the, where the kickoff's supposed to the 35-yard line usually. And then, that kind of changes with the penalties. That's neither here nor there. You have your kicker all the way out there. You have your returner at about the 10 or the 5. And there's a 10-yard zone from the 10 to the goal line. That's the return zone. That's where the returner may field the ball. And then about 10 yards in front of him at about the 20, you have one line of players, which is the 10 of the receiving team.
The kick return team.
Yeah, the kick return team. And then 10 yards away from them is the kick coverage team. And they stand there. And you've created a line of scrimmage. It's 10 yards or 5 yards. Either way, you've created two lines.
I think it's at the 35 and the 25-yard line.
I believe so. Either way, you've created two lines where they are basically 10 yards apart. They are not allowed to physically move. Like, they can't move a muscle. Either line cannot move a muscle until the ball is fielded. Once it's in the hands of the returner, they can engage. If the issue on kickoffs, and this is from, and it is annoying the literature is not super available to read because it would be nice to know more about the data.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's point of why the play is dangerous is the high speed of the impact. Is because you got people being able to get up to Mach speed and then wham into each other.
But here's the thing. You don't normally.
But to get to the other point, if that's the thing they're talking about, is the problem. They want to eliminate the high impact. Like, that's the problem, the high impact. The XFL has had 0 injuries on kickoffs. With this being implemented, they've had multiple kickoff return touchdowns. Like, because you've eliminated high impact because, you can only get going so fast in that short distance. And then you've added some entertainment in, folks, when that returner gets past that wall, you got a kicker left. So I don't know, and I'm not saying the NFL has to implement it. I don't know why we have not heard them seriously discuss it, because it would solve their problem while also not changing the game. Because, like, everyone's going, this changes the game and there's no kickoffs. And I agree. A lot of people like kickoffs. They like the potential entertainment factor of it, because a return touchdown is one of the most exciting things that can happen.
It gets everybody on their feet. They stand up at the 50-yard line if he's running.
If you adopt the low-impact kickoff, you get that. And I am just baffled at why the NFL hasn't even considered it. Why
is it because it's the XFL?
I don't know.
We're not going to adopt something that
I don't know if it's
feeder
that,
league, they're beneath us.
If for whatever reason they feel that's too gimmicky, which if they were to tell me that, I'm like, how is that more gimmicky than what you're doing right now? I don't know. That's when I hear about this, that's my number one thing, because to me, that's the solution. Like, that is the legitimate, you have fixed kickoffs.
Yeah.
You
just don't want kickoffs. He just doesn't want kickoffs.
I get, which if that's the case, then just say you want to ban kickoffs.
Yeah. The whole, high collisions. Here, I'm going to tell you at least what I was coached on kickoff return because I was on the front line of kickoff return. You try to get bigger guys on the front line who can move. Like that's why you have a lot of linebackers on the front line. That's why you saw, like Chanel and, like the Sorensens and those type of people on the front lines. What you do is you don't just you and the kickoff guy ram into each other. That's not a smart way to block on a kickoff because how hard is it to keep a guy, 6 inches from you and you run him, right? That's hard. Even offensive linemen can't do that with defensive linemen, okay? So what you're taught is you get to your target spot and you put your back to it and which way the return is going to go because you don't want the defender to cross your face. So what you do is you normally you have a route that you follow, right? I was the left front end, if you will. So if you're looking at the kickoff, I'd be front all the way to the sidelines on the left. I would run back about 20 yards, turn back and find my guy because you count them. Sometimes that's why you have guys bunched up and then they run all, mixed up so you can't find the guy that you're trying to block. Because most of the time you say, I've got number 7 or I've got number 8 and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't count the kicker. 6, 7, 8. That's my guy. I'm blocking him. So you run, you start, wait till it's kicked because you don't want, to be an onside kick. And then you run back and you find your guy while you're running back to your landmark. You then stop, you find your guy, and then you engage. So you're moving, he's moving. It's not a collision. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. It used to be collisions when you had the battering rams and the wedges. It's not anymore. You lock up with them and then you try to run them away or run them one way or another, and you hope your return guy misses. Where the big collisions are is the returner going full speed and the kickoff guy who's trying to make the tackle gets past his blocker because the blocker didn't do a very good job, and then they collide going, warp speed. That's the only time that there's a real big collision. I was never involved in a big collision on kickoff return when I was on the kickoff return side because you don't just run 20 yards and 20 yards and ram each other. The kickoff return guy, the returner, the Isaiah Pacheco's and those of the worlds, you can get popped because if your people don't block for you, then it's a big collision. So that to me is where the big collisions are. It's really the kickoff guys, and there's really only about 8 of them because you got 2 contained guys who are not going to go in their warp speed, and then you got a safety, and then you got the returner. So that's where I need to know how many collisions there really was. Yeah. I don't know, but that is the gist of a kickoff return. The blockers are not getting concussions. It's the kickoff return man, the Isaiah Pacheco's, the Devin Hesters, the Turpins and those type of guys. And then the kickoff return or the kickoff guys who are trying to go down and make the tackle because we have seen some big collisions there. And it's because it's the kickoff return guy. And I agree with you so much. At least give it a try. You just eliminated the kickoff. And here's the reason why. Would you say Isaiah Pacheco was an okay kickoff return guy? Yeah. He wasn't electric. He wasn't Dante Hall. No. But he wasn't a schmuck, right? Yeah. He wasn't terrible.
He was McCole Hardman.
Okay. What was his kickoff return average? How many yards?
Oh, maybe he was adding 20 yards, maybe.
20.6 yards per return. Yeah. Okay. So if you field it at the 5,
you'd get to the 25.
If you field it at the goal line, you're getting to the 20. If you field it 2 yards deep, you're getting it to the average of the 17-yard line. You just eliminated Isaiah Pacheco. There's no reason for the Chiefs to return a kickoff outside of a minute and a half in the first half or a minute and a half in the game. You get the ball on the 25. The odds of you getting the ball on the 25-yard line, that's on average 20.6. There are times where they didn't get back to the 20. There are times, his long was 48. He had 29 returns. The Chiefs, their offense, had 29 returns let me rephrase that. That's just Isaiah Pacheco. He had 29. Let me see if I can't, because he was the main return guy for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs this last year ended up with, let's see, kick and punt returns. They had, are you ready for this? 36 kickoff returns. 36. Chiefs defense wasn't all that great. All right. And they had 36 kickoff returns. They averaged per return 19 yards. Why would you return those?
There's no reason to.
So we're going to make a change. The NFL's making a change with the Chiefs. They had 36 kickoff returns. Sky Moore had 3. Like, why would you make there's 36 of them? That's not that much. Why would you make the change? Because half the time when it does go through the end zone, there's no collision whatsoever because everybody waits up and holds up and all that kind of stuff. So you're telling me that in an NFL game, the Chiefs had 36 returns in 17 games. So we're talking 2 a game for the Chiefs. So let's say let's do the other side. Let's say there's four returns, and we're talking actual returning it. Mm. So it's 4 kickoff returns a game. How many concussions are really happening with 4 kickoff returns a game?
Yeah.
It seems like it's just an excuse to just get rid of it. And I'll throw it out there. Is this because of the legal aspect of it?
Could be.
If you play football right now, you should actually be fined $1 million if you sue the NFL or you sue somebody. You know what you're getting involved in. Hell, even in 2007 when I was playing, you knew what you were getting involved in. It's 2023. Your body is not going to function normally if you play in the NFL for a period of time. You play in college. My knees hurt, okay? My ankles are probably that of a 60-year-old. You know what you're getting involved in. So the whole legal thing to me just irritates me. If you're not willing to accept the consequences of maybe your brain being scrambled, then don't play. Don't play. And that's okay. Some people have always asked me, Jake, will you let your son play football? And I always tell them, well, he's 3. When he has that deterrent, when I have to make that factor, that's not going to be for another 10 years for tackle football. Then I will make that decision. But you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I'm all for making it safer. This is not me saying, oh, let's go back to the Stone Age and you got Deacon Jones doing headshots and all of that. No, I'm not saying that. I like the horse collar tackle. That's a bad way to tackle, and it's a harmful way to tackle. I am fully okay with that. I have no problem with that. I am okay with them, finding them, and I honestly think you should kick them out of the game. If they're leading with their helmet, if someone's leading with their helmet or not, if they're trying to hurt somebody, That's pretty simple. Kick them out of the game. I have no problem with that. That is not the way it should be. Those are fine. If we're talking about safety, and I'm with you 1,000%, Fulton. You want to There is one way to make this game very safe, and it is very easy. Get rid of the face mask. You want people to stop using their helmets. You want people to stop with the big hits. It is really simple. Get rid of the face mask. That will cure everything. You want to know why? Because your face is going to get mangled. Your face is going to get destroyed. No one wants that. If you really want to be safe, get rid of the face mask. Ain't nobody going to be leading with their head. Why do you think rugby players are so perfect when it comes to tackling? Because if you do it wrong, your face is going to be mush.
It's also because there are illegal zones with which to make the tackle. You legally can only tackle on the torso and the upper thighs. Anything beyond that is an illegal tackle.
And
there's the other facts too, but like
don't have a face
it's
mask.
A combination of the lack of padding and the legal aspect.
Yeah. So I just special teams are a part of the game. That's a bummer. I am bummed at this. And the Chiefs the Chiefs should start at the 25 every single time outside of the 2-minute drills. That's it. Like Isaiah Pacheco, there's no reason for you to return a kick. Put the ball at the 25-yard line. Now the Chiefs only have to go 75 yards instead of 80. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Coming up next, we got a little edition of Odds Makers. What are the odds the Royals lose 100 games?
Just right into it.
You got to rip the Band-Aid off.
I'm going to hold firm at 10.
Oh, no increase.
No, holding firm at 10.
I really do want you to make make a graph.
Oh, we're going to. I'll be honest. We got enough data points now. I might start the process of this.
You know, it needs to be a line graph.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. It's going to just be a little line graph with little dots and points, and we're going to see how it rolls. Because like any good data set, I don't want this to have too many peaks and valleys. Like I'm trying to, it throws your data all off if you're going all over the place.
Well, if the Royals lose 5 more in a row and they lose 9 in a row.
Well, buddy, then next week we might be having a very, very bad conversation.
Alrighty. I am going to.
Yeah, you were at 40% last week.
Upping it to 49.5%.
Oh boy, we're getting a half in here. That's gonna mess with the graph a little bit.
Not really. Just put it between 49 and 50.
No, it'll be fine.
I'm at 49.5. I can't go 50-50 yet.
No, that's fair.
But June 1st, we're a week away. I thought that they had a chance to win some games here. The White Sox, Detroit, Washington, St. Louis, Colorado, Miami. I'll tell you this.
The thing is, they can, because they could have beaten Detroit last night.
No, but
the wheels fall off.
I'm saying June 8th. They're off day after Miami.
Yeah.
I think we'll know if they're going to lose 100 games by June 8th. Because that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 13 more games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they go, 4 and 9 in that stretch, that ain't happening.
Got a Royals roster move real quick.
Do you have one for over under for me?
I do.
Or not over under.
Not
okay.
that. No.
We'll get to that here and we'll take a quick time
It's very simple. Very simple. What are the odds that the Miami Heat complete the sweep?
Ooh. I think they're going to.
Really?
Yeah, give me 60%. I think they're going to win. Because it's in Miami, isn't it?
Yeah.
The game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think so?
Party in Miami. By the way, Jimmy Butler giving the whole timeout thing to Al Horford.
Oh, greatest thing ever. I love Jimmy.
Fantastic.
I love Jimmy Butler so much.
I'm not as big of a Jimmy Butler fan as you and Brendan are.
Well, yeah, we have reasons why.
Because you Bulls, when you played for the Bulls. There are some things where I'm not a huge Jimmy Butler fan of, but there are some things where I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan of.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 60%. I hope everybody took advantage of the Nuggets sweeping the Lakers because I bet the money line on the Nuggets to win every one of those games, and I am 4-0 in the NBA.
Good for you.
And 2-0 in the Heat because I bet the Heat against the spread because they've been dogs the entire time. So I'm 6-0 in the NBA.
Look at you.
I know, feeling pretty good.
Good job. Also, it's 90% that Miami's winning tonight.
90.
I think, there's a chance Boston wins, but they look like they've quit. They ain't got that dog in them.
Do they have to blow it up? They're close.
I don't know. They need a real head coach. That's what they need. Joe Mazzulla ain't the guy.
They had a coach, but apparently he
doesn't know how to properly conduct himself in the workplace.
Okay.
That's the very polite way I will word that.
Yeah. Little morally wrong.
Yeah, like buddy,
can't do that.
There's some questions there, pal.
Yeah, HR ain't allowing that.
You can't be doing that, buddy.
No.
You can't be doing that.
No.
And now they have Joe Mazzulla, who isn't a good coach. Like that's part of the reason Miami's doing this right now is that Eric Spoelstra is just coaching circles around Mazzulla.
Is Eric Spoelstra a Hall of Fame head coach?
I'm starting to question it.
He's won 2 titles.
Mm-hmm.
He's been to. Is this his 7th finals? Was he the head coach when Wade was there?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know if he had ascended yet. I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember if that was Spoelstra coaching the team or not.
He's coached in 29 finals games. Let's see here. No, he coached in 2011.
Okay.
So he's been in the finals in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2020. So that's what he's been in.
He has a 589 winning percentage as an NBA head coach.
That's not great.
589?
No, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
it's almost 600.
And then real quick, we got to get to a break here. I just want to get this math done. Do you know how many under 500 seasons he's had as a head coach?
Don't know.
2. He has been a head coach for 15 seasons. 13 of the 15, he's had a winning record.
He'll be when they beat the Celtics and go to this will be his 6th finals. Won 2 titles.
He's never won Coach of the Year. Yeah, we might have to have a conversation about Eric Spoelstra's legacy.
They lost to Dallas.
Yep.
Beat OKC. Beat the Spurs. And lost to the Lakers. Oh, they played the Spurs twice. Lost to the Spurs once, beat the Spurs once.
Yeah, this will be his 6th NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Good track record.
Man. Coming up, we will get to the latest Royals news and let you know who is going to be starting for the Boys in Blue. The Royals starting pitcher just happened a few minutes ago. From the text line, KC can't name a starting pitcher 4 hours before the game. 80% chance they lose 100.
Listen,
put that down. That's our first texter who basically went and said 80%. Like, that's the highest number we've gotten from the 785.
We got that text here, and then our buddy Vance in the YouTube comments is also 80%.
80%?
Vance's official prediction at this point is 50 and 112.
Okay.
I disagree with both of you, but I respectfully disagree with both of you.
We're going to find out.
I also disagree with you. I disagree with a lot of you.
Respectful. So 80% chance from the 785 and from Vance on our
And listen, the reason they can't name a pitcher is because they're all dropping like flies, and the ones they do have can't pitch enough innings.
Okay.
So it puts you in a bit of a bind.
All right. So tell the folks who's pitching tonight.
So Mike Myers will take the mound tonight for the Kansas City Royals as the starting pitcher. It's a traditional starting role, and it's very scary. Very scary. Little, ring. Is that the Halloween one? I don't know, man. I don't watch a lot. Well, I watch some. I've not watched a lot of Halloween. Either way, point stand. Mike Myers is going to pitch tonight. It's not like an opener thing. He was a starter in Omaha. He's stretched out. He'll, hopefully go as long as he can go, and hopefully it goes well. Mike Myers' big problem is first innings. Over half of the runs he allowed in Omaha all came in the first. So if he can get out of the first well, he traditionally has done well. So that's a thing to watch for Mike Myers tonight.
Speaking of that, then, if you're telling me that runs are going to be scored in the first,
there's a good chance someone scores a run in the first, so do not do a no-run first inning bet. Also, Jake, we have another texter in for the 785. They're up to 90%. 90%. Y'all, it's so hard to lose 100 games. I don't think you guys understand this. It's really hard.
The Royals are really bad.
They are, but it's really hard to lose 100.
All righty, here. Over, under half a run.
In the first inning?
In the first inning.
Take the over.
Right now, that is betting odds, minus 115 compared to the under of minus 111.
Yeah. I give him Mike Myers' track record alone, but I mean, who knows? There's also one other piece of Royals news to get to. I was half right that Max Castillo would go to Omaha today. Max Castillo has been optioned to AAA Omaha, and the Royals, in a corresponding move, have selected right-hander Nick Whitgren from Omaha.
That's a made-up name.
No, it's not. Nick Whitgren is up. Really good at AAA. Had a 1.25 ERA at AAA this year. Is the owner of a 3.96 career ERA in the major leagues.
I never even heard of Nick Whitgren.
I'm surprised because he played for Cleveland a good amount. I'm surprised you've never heard this name.
No, never heard that name.
Well, that tells me how much Jake pays attention to other players.
Yeah, not to my team. Baseball's a regional sport. Nick Whitgren, when did he play for the Indians? Or the Guardians?
Played for the Guardians. I believe it was recently as last year. Give me one quick second.
Nick Whitgren.
Yeah, give me one. There we go. I had to just feel the type. He was in Cleveland 2021. He went from 19 to 21. He was in Cleveland. He was with St. Louis last year.
Okay.
Kind of fallen off the last two seasons. He was really good for Cleveland in 19 and 20. And in 18 with Miami. And in 16 with Miami.
So he old.
Yeah, Nick Whitgren is 31.
31.
Veteran arm in the bullpen to, give length. Well, not length, but give a fresh arm.
So we're going to go with today will be Myers, Whitgren, Kowar to get you 7 innings.
I think their hope is Myers can at least give you 5 and doesn't completely, whiz down his leg in 5. And then after that, it'll be just what works out best.
Here's the problem.
I don't think there is a set plan of what goes after him today. Here's
the problem is that they're going up against the best pitcher for the Tigers.
Yeah, Eduardo Rodriguez is an ERA of 2.06.
Yeah, he's good.
He has had a really good year.
His strikeouts over under 5.5. You get plus value if you think he's going to strike out 6 Royals.
I would honestly take the under. He strikes out less than a batter per inning. I would take the under.
That's not the... Wait, is Nate Eaton in the lineup? Because that's at
I
least
literally just saw the lineup. Give me one quick second. No Nate Eaton tonight. Real quick, lineup is Prado, Perez, Pasquantino, Witt Jr., Melendez, Olivares, Massey, Garcia, Bradley Jr. Real quick, because I know we're
not a ton of strikeout. Maybe. Who knows?
That's why I said the under.
Coming up next, we'll finish things off with a mic drop. All right, Fulton, what do you got?
Mike Myers, go like 4 2/3 at least. I got a low bar here. Like, I got a really, really low bar here. Just don't completely, be bad. Keep a minute. Keep my attention for a little while. That's all I got.
Do they lose 5?
No, they're winning tonight. Royals don't lose 5 games in a row.
They're losing tonight.
No, they're not. They're winning.
You can get plus money
getting
on the Tigers run line, just to let you know, Mike Myers. You're going up against the best Tiger pitcher. He's been really good this year.
They're going to get W tonight. Happen.
Double or nothing?
No, we're not that confident. Absolutely not. Absolutely. I've learned my lesson, dang it. Not happening.
The NFL decided to take the kickoff out of the game, which is fine. Just don't have a kickoff. Why are we going to fake it? Coming up next, we got 580 Sports Talk. Lead you into Royals baseball.